let's head on.
Maybe that's it.
Let's head to Andy here in Winter Springs. Got a 2018 Subaru Outback. Andy, tell us what's going on.
Nothing really, Larry. I just could have sworn I heard you mention a couple weeks ago not to use 20 weight oil, but use 30. And I looked at my manual, and it does say 5W20. So I'm getting ready to do an oil change, and it reminded me of that. And I just wonder if I heard you right.
Yes, you did. Andy, there's not one engine that is suitable to put a 20 weight in here in Central Florida. I'm going to tell you a quick story here, and this will kind of reiterate why I have been preaching don't use 20 weights in Central Florida for so many years. You know, anybody that knows anything about a car or anything like that knows that Hyundai and Kia, they can't replace that. They've got to recall just about every engine that they've ever put in a car. I mean, their service departments don't do anything but just engine replacements. That's all they do. It's just because the engines are coming apart. You see them on the side of the road on fire because they sling rods out of the engine and sets the exhaust system on fire. All this happens because, and the excessive wear, the oil consumption problems, and I could go on and on and on. It was all because of 20 weight oils. And it's not like anybody's listened to this program. I have said this so many times, and I try to get people to understand. The 20 weights are so thin, you can't really keep parts separated. And they accelerate engine wear, piston rings, cylinder walls, rod bearings. It just eats everything up. There's not enough viscosity, meaning the thickness of the oil once it's at normal operating temperature. And so what winds up happening is these oils just literally eat the engine alive. And then all of a sudden you've got oil consumption, you can't keep oil in the car, and it goes on and on and on. Well, with Hyundai and Kia, this is something that I was really, on the new stuff, on their newer vehicles, they are back to recommending 30-weight oil. Can you imagine that? See, the manufacturers, when they EPA these cars, they want to run the thinnest oil they can possibly run in them so that they can prove they get the maximum fuel economy. That to them is more of a sales type of aid. Well, our car gets this many miles to the gallon. Well, they use these ultra-thin oils to prove miles per gallon, and it also actually helps a little bit as far as the exhaust emissions, so they have to pass all the federal exhaust emissions testing. So these real thin oils are great for that. But they're lousy for keeping an engine around any length of time because these thin oils represent less oil pump drag. And that's the only benefit. And it benefits everybody but you. The engines just wear themselves out. Just not enough lubrication there to keep parts separated. And we're in the worst case scenario because we're in Central Florida. You get back on 105-degree temperatures out here, and you get an engine temperature up to way over 200, and listen, oil is only going to do so much. And if you don't run something like an Amsoil synthetic and a 30 weight, I like the 0W30 Signature Series Amsoil to replace these 20 weight recommendations. If you do that, the difference is probably 150,000, 200,000 miles that you will be getting service out of your vehicle as opposed to not. So definitely something to consider, and stay away from the 20 weight oils. That stuff, it's not good for a bicycle chain.